Hello, gorgeous people, and welcome to another TV Central one-on-one podcast. I'm Aaron Ryan. This is episode 26, 2024. One of the AFL's most well-known players, Shane Crawford, has played 305 games over his 16-year-long career at the Hawthorn Football Club. Part of the 2008 Premiership side, Shane is a four-time All-Australian player and played in 3 international rules series for Australia. Off the field, Shane has presented numerous television series, including Kids WB, Postcards, and Australian Ninja Warrior. He has now taken to the dance floor for Dancing with the Stars. He just got pipped at the post before the grand final, but has been kind enough to stop by for a chat. Shane Crawford from Dancing with the Stars, thank you for joining me at TV Central.
It's so nice to join you. Yeah, pipped at the posts, but no, a great experience, and that was my whole focus going in. Is like, I want people sitting at home. I want them to have a laugh, and if they're laughing at me, I don't care. And I just want to enjoy the experience, and I certainly did. So that was the aim, and I'm glad that I did it. It was great fun.
Well, maybe they started to laugh at you initially, but now after that, they were laughing with you, because it's fair to say you surprised us all with your dancing ability. But then I was wondering, why did I and arguably most of the audience write you off this competition? I mean, most of the celebrities have had little to no dancing experience. Did you have any confidence you would be near the top?
Well, back in my day, I used to do the AFL footy show with the controversial Sam Newman and Eddie Maguire, or Eddie not so controversial, although at times. So we used to do grand final grand final parties and shows where in front of 15,000 at the Rod Laver Tennis Centre in Melbourne. We used to put on performances at the end of the footy show, and it was always a lot of fun. I loved it, but we were really just trying to make the audience laugh and have a good time. So this was very different. Dancing with the Stars, obviously, they judge your technique. You got to learn some, obviously, ballroom dances. And, yeah, this is very much a different ball game. And I knew that was going to be an issue for me because, obviously, you haven't grown up with a lot of the dances that we did, whether it be a Viennese waltz or, the Samba or the cha-cha or whatever it is. And it's very confusing because you go from one dance practicing really hard where you've got to stay bent-legged the whole way to the second time you got to do the dance. You got to have straight legs and stick your backside out or whatever it may be. So it's all a bit confusing and conflicting. And I just said to my dance partner Ashley, I said, let's just make sure we're putting on a show. That's all I care about. Make sure we're putting on a show. So it was great fun and great challenge. You learn so much more about yourself if you put yourself out there a bit and you challenge yourself and you feel a bit nervous and I suppose the hairs on the back of your neck stand up and you just think, oh, am I doing the right thing? And once you get through and come out the other side, you go, do you know what? I'm so glad I did that and had that experience, and you learn so much more about yourself.
I was actually going to mention those end of year footy show reviews because, I mean, they're a lot of fun, but you're not completely void of any stage experience. I mean, I know it's not ballroom, but I mean, you're rehearsing a routine, coordinating a performance. So you're very comfortable on the stage. Perhaps people should have seen you as a dark horse of Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, no, or James Stewart said, oh, I've been speaking to my, some of my family members, and they're living in Melbourne or living in Victoria, and they're saying that you're a dark horse. So he had me lined up from day one. But I loved it. Like, I loved it because he was so sort of entrenched in his performance, and he'd studied all the shows, he'd watched all the shows, he knew all the dances, and he knew. He knew every style of dance, and I love that because that's someone just throwing it all in. He's going all in. Whereas I try and look comfortable on stage, and a lot of the stuff that I've done in the past, you've got to be on, and it's a big stage. So if you fall, you can fall pretty quickly, or you can hopefully shine. So, but I can assure you that you definitely get nervous. You definitely, you're probably a bit edgy, but I think that's why you do it. You do it because you want to feel a touch uncomfortable. And never have I felt especially with Dancing with the Stars, comfortable going out there because I know you've only got one chance to show what you got, and if you stuff it up, that's not good. You've got to just keep finding your way. So I think in practice, the most important thing in practice that I learnt was once we start practicing the full routine, if we do make mistakes and then stop and try and start again, we had to eliminate that straight away and say, no, we're just going to keep going to the end. So we just got to find our way to the end, even if we fall over, even if I drop my partner, we've just got to keep going and get to the end and practice that way, just in case that happens on the night, which has obviously happened at times for certain people throughout the other series. So, yeah, so it was a good way to learn and practice.
I think the moment that people might have gone, this guy can dance was the Samba. That was the Ricky Martin living La Vida Loca. Being honest,
Good,
I
yeah.
loved it. I thought it was a lot of fun. You really amped it up, but I assumed, I shouldn't have done that. Technically, that it might have been, well, a little off. But let's go with the
you can be
but.
honest.
Yeah, I'm being honest. Because it was just such a showman thing. But actually, you scored 29, proving that despite the fun and the showman style performance, it was actually within the realm of a technical samba. Do you realize now that you're actually a lot better than perhaps your own confidence level gave you credit for?
No, I still find it hard to watch anything that I do, especially when you know that you're putting on a performance or you're getting into character. And I'm like, oh, I feel very uncomfortable trying to watch this, and especially, if you've got friends or family around, you're like, oh no. So yeah, it always is a bit awkward. But at the end of the day, I'm just my philosophy, especially when the footy show days, was always thinking about the audience. What do the audience want right now? Are they bored? Do they want me to interact with Sam Newman? So it was very similar with this. Is like, what what do people want to watch? Do they want to watch me trying to be a perfect dancer? No, not really. They want to see me just having a go, putting in some of my own moves, a bit like the Aussie female breakdancer. You just do it your way, have your own style, and yeah. So that's the way I treated it, and I think it made it so much more fun because I eliminated, you know, it's not all about trying to get a good score, or it's not all about trying to win. It's just trying to be entertaining. So I was very happy to get some good scores. Although my very first score was a 2 from Craig, when I thought we actually did quite well. So we started the series off um, on the back foot, and I felt like we were always chasing our tail, which I loved. I loved that Craig, gave us a bit of stick because it gave us something to work with, especially at the end of dances. We were able to have a bit of banter and a bit of fun, which I think it makes it a bit more personalised and a bit more fun.
I want to throw in one but there. You
But
didn't goof around all the time. The Viennese waltz was just beautiful. Aside from Samantha Jade, let's not talk about her, who's doing super well. There was only 1 point with you being second with just Hayden Quinn. Did you feel quite vulnerable in that moment, being so serious?
yeah, absolutely. And I was all for that. I suggested, I think, because I knew that the first dance I was going to do was like, bang, you're in the competition and this is what we got. And it's a bit crazy. And then, the second one, I thought, oh, if we could, I think it'd be nice to do a slower one because probably, especially the audience that knows me in the past would not think that I would be capable of, or they've never seen me do something like that. So I thought that would be quite good. But yeah, I found it quite difficult being very contained and yeah, you really need to be connected with your partner. And it's not as though that I wasn't, but it's like actually showing that that because the camera catches everything. And yeah, it was, I don't know, it's sort of like maybe going on your first date or going to a dead ball and yeah, you just got that awkwardness, and that's what it sort of felt, even though you were trying to make sure that, it was like watching a romantic movie, which it definitely didn't feel like a romantic movie.
So that's finally on the dancing part. The quick step last night was awesome. You got all eights except for Grumpy Pants. Walk me through walk me through the idea for the dance and the costumes. I just have a feeling it wasn't all Ashley.
No, well, no, it definitely wasn't me.
Oh,
I
wasn't
sort
you?
of no, well, my yeah, I did when I first had meetings before agreeing to the show. I said, listen, I'll do anything. I'll go for it. I'm happy with any costume. I'm not too precious. Just I'll as long as as long as we're being entertaining and putting on a bit of a show, I'm all in, you know. And so when I when I tried on that costume for the first time, and then they said, "Oh, by the way, we're going to put a headpiece on you," and then I went and looked at the headpiece. I went, all I thought was Bridgerton. That's all I
Oh, yeah,
thought.
that's exactly
Bridgerton.
what it
I thought
was.
this is getting weird. Um, so yeah, no, I was all for it. I loved getting into costume. You know, my very first dance I started with overalls, and my last dance, you know, you're dressing up like you're going on the set of Bridgerton. So yeah, so it was quite cool to get into different characters and go for it. But I had no input into that outfit in my last dance.
Mhm. Um, I want to ask, celebrities always talk about how close they form as a group on that
Mm.
show. Who did you bond with the most in the show?
Um, it's a good question because everyone was so supportive, and you know, normally it's not always the case. So I found that very good. I think everyone was just trying to, you know, do the best they possibly can, and not only that, it actually felt like a real team environment. It felt like it did when I was playing for Hawthorn back in the day. So um, I found that really cool. Obviously, the boys were in the boys' change rooms, were all in together. So having Adam in there and Ben Cousins, who I used to play footy against, it was really nice to see him a part of the show and getting back into life and getting a hold of his life, which I just loved. Ant Middleton, he was fantastic. He was very entertaining. You know, like I know he's got a serious side, but we saw a real softer and fun side. And as I said, James Stewart, I loved. You know, he even sent me a message last night. He sent me a video message of him obviously watching the show and just giving me feedback and telling me that he really enjoyed it, and you know I thought that's pretty cool. So yeah, no, everyone was awesome, and you know hopefully we'll cross paths
Yeah.
again one day in whichever direction we all go. So it was really nice.
Well, just a couple of can't have you without asking a couple of footy questions.
Mm.
You had a massive
Yes.
AFL career. I'm a Hawks supporter. I'm so proud of
Are you? Oh
2008.
yeah, and how good are the Hawks going? Hey, yeah, unreal. So.
Such a heritage list of big names though: Dipper, Brereton, Dunstall, Platt, and Hodge. When you joined Hawthorn, did that enormity feeling about the rich history did you feel that rich history of the club? Because you became captain, won a Brownlow, Lee Matthews Trophy. I can imagine how big that would be. Did you know at the time like how big your achievement was being part of such a heritage club?
Oh, no, like I barracked for Richmond, but then my older brother barracked for Hawthorn, and Hawthorn were always playing in finals. So I probably knew Hawthorn better than anyone, really. And then, you know, to be drafted to Hawthorn and then first go down there and train, you know, I'm a 17-year-old kid running around and you got absolute legends there, you know, from Derek Brereton to Jason Dunstall and Chris Langford and Gary, like just absolute icons of the Hawthorn Football Club. So it was, yeah, it was all a bit of a blur. And all I ever wanted to do with my career is work my backside off to give myself a chance to be an AFL footballer. But I just wanted to be the most consistent player and a great team player. And then when I look back now, I got to play with so many amazing players like throughout my whole career. And, you know, it definitely wasn't all smooth sailing with Hawthorn because we almost disappeared. We almost merged with the Melbourne Football Club. Melbourne voted yes to merge. Hawthorn voted no. So you're going to have the Demons and the Hawks, and it was going to be the Dorks. That wasn't going to work. So it was a tough time. But then to come out of it and finish my career playing with guys like Sam Mitchell, who's now the coach and a very good friend, and I do give him a bit of feedback at times. not always appreciated, but and Luke Hodge and Buddy Franklin, who's a good friend of mine and actually lives up near where I live, so I see him a bit. I just think, wow, I was very lucky to have been a part of a great football club that's doing extremely well now with all such a young group. They weren't sort of expected to be winning so many matches, at the moment because they're in a development stage, but they're obviously ahead of schedule, and you just never know what's going to happen if they can make the finals because they're playing with such confidence. And when you've got a young group who believe in themselves and team together, look out. So it's pretty cool if you barrack for the Hawks because when you look at teams like St Kilda and others, they haven't had grand final success or premiership glory for 50, 60 years, which is like, wow. Whereas Hawthorn seems to pop in the finals every few years and not only that, win a few along the way, which, that's what it's all about.
Well, they did with you and then did 3 in a row as well. So
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
You could have gone one more year at least after your grand final win. You decided to go out on a high. Any regrets? Because, I mean, certainly from a history point of view, it probably was a good decision leaving on such a high. You chucked it Ash Barty there.
You're a long time retired, so that was always in the back of my mind. And then I did have a bit of a knee injury, which I needed 6 months off. But to be honest, physically, if I didn't have that, I felt like I could play another 3 or 4 years if I really wanted to. So it's all about timing. And I think because I was there for such a long time and it was such a long journey, mentally, it becomes draining too. So you sort of got to go, am I doing it for all the right reasons? Why am I here? And then the reason I was still staying there at Hawthorn is because I wanted to be part of a team that won. And a team that not was making finals, a team that was winning finals and especially the Premiership. So I said, don't be greedy. I'm still in one piece. Maybe if I pushed on another year or two, I mightn't have been able to get on that dance floor because I might have been able to walk. Who knows? But no, it was all about timing. The timing was right. Yes, you do look back at times and go, I probably could have pushed on for another couple of years. But, I knew we were having like 18 operations at the end of the year we won. So I knew that was going to be a huge issue for the next year. So, and normally what happens when the team's not going so well, they blame the old guys. And I was going to be the oldest. So I thought, no, the time's right.
Yeah. I've got so many questions for you, but I know we have to wrap up. So second last question, at least 10 years on the footy show, was that always a positive experience? I only asked because it was clearly a lot of fun, but there was also a lot of controversial moments with Sam Newman. Was that something that you just stayed out of, or was it difficult for you sometimes during the show?
I was probably part of the footy show for about 20 years, really. Like as a player, I'd go on as a guest sort of panelist, and then once I finished, I was involved. But I loved it. Towards the end, unfortunately, life changed a fair bit, and we had to really sort of pull our heads in. So we used to push the boundaries. We used to go way over the top. And I loved it because I used to be a front row seat seeing what Sam Newman was going to do. So, which was always unexpected. And I sort of loved that, I felt like, this is pretty cool. I get to be, front row seat to seeing what happens. But no, I tried to stay out of all the controversy, but I probably started some of it myself. I pulled Sam's shorts down and I wasn't, which wasn't planned or anything. And then we didn't mean for it. But anyway, as it turned out, Sam was shown, on live TV bearing all. And then I looked over and I saw Eddie McGuire who was hosting, rolling on the ground. And I just saw the look of fear on some of the producers' faces. And I thought, I'm going to lose the captaincy of Hawthorn. And I think I've just lost my job with Channel 9. But as it turned out, Sam got the blame. And, we just continued on sort of pushing the boundaries. So after that, I think I'm like, no, I don't want to be in this space. I don't want to get myself in trouble. I just want to go and have fun and go along for the ride.
To be honest, it probably would have been more fun with your pants down. The ladies of Australia would have loved that, and the rest of us.
Well, do you know, I'll tell you what Sam said. Sam was filthy with me, of course, because what happened? He stood there in his, like, he was dressed as a Fremantle player because Hawthorn played Fremantle, and he said that we tanked for our footy trip. We backed ourselves, which was totally not true. Anyway, so he's playing it all up. So he comes out. He's standing next to me at the table. So I thought, oh, I'll just pull his white shorts down. I think they were white. Anyway, pulled his shorts down, and he just stood there with his briefcase and his shorts down, and he had these, I don't know if they were blue, but he had these undies on. And he just stood there, so the crowd's playing it up. He was playing it up as he does. And he just kept standing there. And I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it. And I thought, oh, if I did, you'd drop everything and protect the front. But by the time the cameras zoomed in, just of an outline in his undies and so forth, and when the pants finally did go down, Sam was like backstage during the break. He said, why would you do that? And I'm thinking, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for it to happen. And he wasn't necessarily worried about being naked on TV. He's more worried about, he said, my thing's been locked away for 12 hours in its undies. Of course it was going to look small. That's all he was worried about. He was worried about how it looked and the size of it, not necessarily about being naked on the TV. So I found that quite funny.
That sounds like Sam. So it was great seeing you on the screens each week with Dancing with the Stars. What's next for you?
What's next? Well, I did the City to Surf yesterday, so I was happy with that. That was great. Love being part of that. No, I've got a son finishing year 12, and he's ready to go on the big wide world, which is a bit sad, but very pumped for him. And I've got a 15-year-old, and I've got twins that are 12, all 4 boys. So I'm just trying to make sure that I'm being involved a lot more. I love going along, especially when they're doing some school sport or whatever it is, and that you're sort of one of only dad floating around. So I'm just going to throw myself in and really keep connected with my kids for a bit longer. And no, I'm up for anything. As long as it all works and as long as it puts me on my toes and makes me jump out of bed. Other than that, I'm not too interested. So I'm always up for something, but if it's not going to put me on my toes, I think I'll just keep getting the kids back and forth from school.
All right. I'm putting you down for a guest host TV Central podcast. Lovely.
There you
All
go.
right.
Yeah, get me in any time. No worries.
All right, Shane, you're an AFL legend, a fantastic television presenter. You bring a smile to the face. You always put everything into the project you're involved in. Great Aussie. And now just a bloody good dancer. Thank you for joining me at TV Central.
That's very nice. No, thanks for having me. And I wish I was in San Francisco as well. That looks pretty bloody good.
That was 305 AFL game Premiership player and our brilliant dancer, Shane Crawford. The grand final of Dancing with the Stars will air Monday, 12th of August, 2024 at 7:30 p.m. on 7 and 7+. Well, that's it for another TV Central one-on-one podcast. For all the latest television news, streaming info, ratings, cinema, movie reviews, TV guides and podcasts, head to tvcentral.com.au. But for now, I'm Aaron Ryan. Thanks to Shane Crawford. Bye for now.